Hi Founder fans, Jason here. You might be wondering why I'm wearing a t-shirt that has a fairly silly George Washington quote on it. You will permit me to wear my spectacles. Well, I'll tell you, this is one of the most important quotes in the history of the United States of America. Yes, silly as it may seem, and I'm about to tell you this story. But why do I have it on a t-shirt? Well, because I love this quote, and I wanted it on a t-shirt, and I'm hoping that other people on the street might say, hey, why do you have a silly George Washington quote on your t-shirt? And then I can tell them the following story. And if you like this story and want to help spread the word of the American Revolution by hopefully having people ask you, what's that silly quote? Well, feel free to go to my website through the link below, founderoftheday.com. You can get this t-shirt, or you can get this nice coffee mug with the quote, George Washington back there, or heck, even a sticker. Yeah. And that way we can help spread the word of the American Revolution. So, in March of 1783, the Revolutionary War was concluded. We had won at Yorktown a year and a half earlier, and the Continental Army marched north, and they were sitting in Newburgh, New York, waiting for the British to leave Manhattan Island, where they had occupied for 8 years. And once the British left, then Washington could march on in, and everyone would be happy, ra-da-da-da-da, we won the war. But while they're waiting, the generals in Newburgh are getting kind of impatient. And they're saying, hey, we're not getting paid. Why are those guys sitting down in Philadelphia? Why are these Continental Congressmen not paying us? Furthermore, they were military men, and the end of the war for a military man meant, how am I going to make money? Meanwhile, most of the delegates in Philadelphia, well, they were lawyers and doctors and had professions that they could fall back on to continue making a fortune. So these generals start grumbling amongst each other, and they decide to have a little meeting. And they're going to talk about, how do we handle Philadelphia? Should we march down there and take it over and demand that we have the government we want? So George Washington finds out that some of his top generals are having these discussions. And Washington says, you know what, guys? Go have a meeting, sort it out amongst yourselves. So they do this, and on March 15th, 1783, they're having this meeting. And then who walks in the room? George Washington. And the room falls silent. Everyone says, what? He's not supposed to be here. What's George doing here? He's not, what do we do? What do we do? Whisper, whisper, whisper. And Washington makes his way to the podium and gets on stage, and he pulls a letter out of his pocket that he's going to read to these men. Now, the letter was from the Continental Congress saying, hey, calm down, we're trying to pay you, but we're broke. We are all very broke. There's not a lot we can do. We're trying to remedy this situation. And Washington takes out the letter and he looks at it. And he can't really make it out. And he looks up and he looks around the room, and he does something that none of these people have ever seen him do before. He puts his glasses on. He puts them on in public, which was a sign of weakness. And as he does, he looks around the room and he says, gentlemen, you will permit me to wear my spectacles, for I have grown not only gray, but almost blind in service of my country. Now suddenly these men realize what they were talking about. They realized they had been fighting for a republic for 8 years. More, some of them. And the fact that they had turned on their own ideals in a moment of anger brought tears to many of their eyes. And they all immediately said, you know what? We're just going to end the war and we're going to go home. No big deal. Except Timothy Pickering. Got to give credit where credit's due. Timothy Pickering looked around and said, that's all it took? That's all he had to do was put on his glasses? Credit to Timothy Pickering. But the rest of the guys said, okay, you're right, George. We're sorry. Let's just go home when this war is done. And it's truly profound, because this is the moment that George Washington was basically handed the keys to the country. And they said, here you go, you can be a dictator if you want. And Washington, virtuous as he was, decided, no, I'd rather not be a dictator. I'd rather we not have a dictator. Let's have a republic. And that's why I personally love the quote, and I hope people will come up to me and say, why do you have a quote about George Washington wearing your glasses on your shirt, or your coffee mug, or that sticker? And the reason is because those are the words with which George Washington turned down absolute power. So, if you like the shirt, if you like the story, give me a like or a thumbs up down there, leave a comment, and please visit founderoftheday.com and pick up a copy. You'll help us keep the YouTube page alive, keep the website alive, and thank you so much for hearing the story. We'll talk to you next time.